Have you ever caught yourself thinking, why does this person annoy me so much? Or maybe you did something and immediately afterwards thought, why did I do that? That's not like me at all. It's in moments like these that what Carl Gustav Jung called the shadow shows itself. The shadow is the part of us we try to hide, everything we consider bad, ugly, shameful, or unacceptable. But here's the paradox. The shadow often drives our actions more than the persona we present to the world. Today, I'll tell you why we hide parts of ourselves, how the shadow appears in our everyday life, and most importantly, how to learn to befriend it instead of fighting it. Add a question for you right away. What do you think it is in yourself that you try to hide from others? Write it in the comments. It'll be really interesting to compare. What Carl Gustav Jung called the shadow. Jung said it like this: a person is born whole, but gradually society, parents, and school begin to split them. We're told, this is good, this is bad, this is beautiful, and this is shameful. Do this and never do that. And we begin to build a mask, an image of the right person. We show others only what pleases them: politeness, kindness, ambition, the ability to be like everyone else. But everything that doesn't fit that picture we push far inside. Those repressed qualities become our shadow. And here's an important point. The shadow isn't only our bad traits like anger, aggression, or envy. Sometimes our strengths end up in the shadow too: courage, sexuality, creative energy, everything we were once forbidden to show. For example, a child is told, "Don't shout, girls don't do that." They learn to suppress their strength and force. A boy is told, "Men don't cry." He hides his sensitivity and tenderness. Question for you: remember what you were most often forbidden to do in childhood? Maybe part of your shadow is hidden there. Mask and shadow. Jung said it, every person has two faces. One we show to the world, the other we hide inside. The face we show is the mask. The mask helps us live in society, be polite, communicate, get a job, make friends. It makes us convenient. But the problem is, the brighter and more beautiful the mask, the deeper and darker the shadow becomes. Imagine an actor on stage. He plays the role of a hero, kind, strong, perfect. Backstage, he might be tired, angry, irritated. We do the same. We wear the right person mask, but inside there's still what we hide. Question for you: which mask do you most often wear? For example, strong and independent, always kind, successful and confident. Write it in the comments. It'll be interesting to compare whether most of our masks match. Manifestations of the shadow in life. You might ask, okay, I hide something in myself, but how does it show up in life? Actually, all the time. There are three main ways the shadow comes out. In dreams, scenes of aggression, fear, strange characters, that's the language of our shadow. Some see monsters, some see enemies, some see their own failures. In breakdowns, you might seem calm and balanced, but suddenly snap at loved ones over something small. That's not an accident. The shadow is saying, I'm tired of being silent. And in other people, Jung called this projection. What we don't admit in ourselves, we start to see in others. For example, if you hide your aggression, you'll be strongly irritated by pushy people. If you're afraid to show your sexuality, others will seem too revealing. If you don't allow yourself to rest, you'll despise the lazy. Now a question for you. Remember what in other people irritates you the most. Think. Maybe that's exactly what you don't accept in yourself. Write it in the comments. This exercise can open your eyes. Note, we're only approaching the shadow so far. But even now it's clear the shadow is not a monster from a fairy tale. It's a part of us we didn't allow to show. Most interestingly, the shadow reveals itself most brightly in close relationships. Think about it. When we meet someone new, at first we only show the mask. We try to look better than we are. But the closer we become, the more trust there is, the more what we usually hide bursts out. And that's where the shadow turns on. A man may seem confident and calm, but at home suddenly show jealousy or aggression. A woman may be caring and gentle, but sometimes feel anger and exhaustion she's afraid to show. That's why many couples argue not over small things, but because they encounter each other's shadows, not their masks. Question for you: has a close person ever unexpectedly shown another side of themselves? What was it? How did you react? Write it in the comments. Everyone certainly has such an experience. Projections in relationships. Jung said, "We don't see others as they are. We see them through the prism of our shadow." For example, when we fall in love, we often idealize someone. We don't see them as they are. We put on an image from our subconscious. And when we're disappointed, that too isn't about them. It's about the fact they didn't match our inner picture. What we deny in ourselves, we can hate in our partner. And what we lack, we can admire and look for in someone else. Question: have you noticed what attracts or irritates you in partners? Maybe it's a reflection of your own shadow. The shadow in society, but the shadow isn't only a personal story. Every person has their shadow, and society has a collective shadow. Jung wrote that the collective shadow is especially visible in times of crisis, wars, aggression, hatred of outsiders, division into us and them. All of this is a manifestation of the collective shadow. Society represses its own fears and flaws and then looks for someone to blame outside. For example, when a country fights strangers, often it means it can't cope with its own internal problems. When a crowd looks for a scapegoat, that's also a way to avoid looking at its own weaknesses. Question for you: what collective shadow do you think is showing up in our society today? Share your thoughts in the comments. It'll be interesting to compare opinions. As you can see, the shadow doesn't live only inside us. It affects our relationships, friendships, love, and even the way society is organized. Can we get rid of the shadow? Here's an important point. You can't get rid of the shadow. It will always be part of us. Trying to kill your shadow will only make it stronger. Jung said, "We become whole not by cutting off a part of ourselves, but by accepting it." And here the key idea appears. Our task is not to fight the shadow, but to integrate it. That is, to learn to see, acknowledge, and use it for good. What does shadow integration mean? Integration is when you stop splitting yourself into bad and good parts. You accept that inside you there is kindness and anger, fear and strength, tenderness and toughness. Then the shadow stops controlling you from beneath consciousness. It becomes your ally. For example, anger can be turned into energy to protect yourself and your boundaries. Jealousy can show you what you're missing in a relationship. Envy can become fuel for growth instead of destruction. Question for you: which negative trait of yours do you think could become your strength if you accepted it? Write it in the comments. It might inspire others. Practice number 1, shadow journal. Take a notebook and write down 3 questions. What irritates me the most in other people? Which qualities in myself do I try to hide? In what situations do I lose control? Write honestly, not for others, but for yourself. The answers to these questions are a direct path to understanding your shadow. Practice number 2, dialogue with the shadow. Try to imagine your shadow as a separate character. Sit in silence and mentally ask it, what do you want? Why do you show up this way? How can you help me? Many people are surprised that the answers come on their own. The subconscious always knows what to say. Question: would you like me to make a separate video with a meditation for working with the shadow? Write yes or I want the meditation in the comments. Practice number 3, feeling your emotions.